everybody, and welcome to Video Editing, Advanced Narrative Film Editing, Week 4, Tempo and Pace. Thanks again for joining us. This has been a great, first 3 weeks. I just want to remind everybody that you can, by joining us here, this digital ticket that you got from Eventbrite, and by attending this, you have access to all the weeks. So if this is the first week you're joining us, you can go back and rewatch it. And I really encourage you to rewatch these. You have this initial access. We'll be posting everything on YouTube in a couple of weeks. We always archive everything and then post everything on YouTube, but you have access to this now. So please, take advantage of this resource of these workshops, and you can, explore these and rewatch them, and then you can edit along with these. So today is really exciting. We're going to be going through tempo and pace and finishing off what we've been working on over these 4 weeks in our narrative scene. So we're looking at a narrative scene with a dramatic, with a story, and working on techniques to increase and play with what's told, how it's told, perfecting it, and working with some of the tools that are not on the beginner side, but working towards the finer details and the more advanced side. So, and rest assured, if you want to go back, you can. We have tons of videos on starting a project, working in DaVinci Resolve, and so on. So really exciting that you can go through this. Just want to thank all our partners in this project. So we have the Canada Council for the Arts, then we have the library partners. So we have the Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. So all our partners make this project happen. Really grateful to be able to do that. So now we have digital arts computers. We have iMac computers that are available at all 3 of these partners. So there's 2 computers at each of the library partners. Now with all the reopening, you can go there, you can access DaVinci Resolve Studio, the full version. We have a lot of RAM in them, so 32 gigs minimum. We have high-speed disk drives so that you can edit with footage. We'll be adding some footage as we get into some in-person workshops. But in the meantime, if you have footage, if you want to bring a hard drive, external hard drive, bring it to any of the libraries that you're a member of. You can go there, hook up your hard drive, and then work on any of your video editing as well. Need a camera? Great, you can take out cameras at the Blue Mountains Public Library and all 3 partners. The Blue Mountain, Wasaga Beach, we have video cameras, and we have a photo camera that you can shoot video with at all 3 libraries. So that's really exciting as well. Now for the purpose of doing this workshop, if you can pick any kind of scene, and this is kind of what I've been saying over the last few weeks. You pick any kind of scene, just film it, even with your phone, put it into Resolve, and then you can work along with editing this and making these considerations. And if it's maybe there's a film that you're about to do, again, you can rewatch these, and then these concepts are key. So we really want trying to go into the concepts, not just the technical of how to do it, but really want the thinking process of considering why do we do things. And that's been our journey as we've gone through this workshop. So today, as we continue this, we are going to look at the fine cut review. So we'll watch what we've done so far. Then we're going to explore tempo and pace. And we're going to look at picture lock and next steps. What does that mean? What does it mean to do the picture lock and next steps? And tempo and pace is really important, because at this point, as we get into the fine cut and picture lock and so on, we're starting to look at, how well does this scene work? Are we really happy with it? And once you've really exhausted everything and most importantly, you're happy with it as an edited final scene, that means we can picture lock. And then there's the next step. So we'll talk about that, and that will bring us into kind of the next steps of what the software can do as well. So fine cut review is where we're going to start up from there. Then we'll get into tempo and pace. So let's get going. So I'm just going to switch over here into DaVinci Resolve. I have it open just where we were last week. So here's our sequence, and so we've called it fine cut 1. And what I'm going to do is just right click and duplicate the timeline. And that's really what we always want to make sure we do. So, and then from there, I'm going to call it fine cut 2. And I don't need to call it a copy. So I'm just going to take the end off there. And there we go. And then I want to make sure I double click it so that we have it open and we're ready to go from there. Okay, so now we got fine cut 2. And then what we want to do is we're going to go to our cinema viewer. I'm always looking at where this is. They always move it around on me here. Timeline. Playback, here we go. So I wanted to mention here too, we talked a little bit about this before, but there is the timeline proxy mode. So I have this off right now, but if you're ever having issues with any of the playback, you can always go to half resolution or quarter resolution. And what it will do is, let me just go over here to you can see it gets a little bit blurrier, and that lets you play things back. So if you have, let's say, a slower hard drive, that's always a really great way to deal with it. Okay, so here we go. Full screen window. Oops. Viewer mode. Cinema viewer. There we go. It's under viewer mode. It used to be somewhere else. Okay, so cinema viewer. I think we have Command F is our shortcut. Yeah, Command F. So let's remember that. Like I say, I was jumping around into different pieces of software. So here we go. So let's have a look at our fine cut where it stands right now.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Barb. I noticed you're having a little bit of trouble with your computer. Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to help.
Yes. Well, as you can see, I'm struggling a little bit. I seem to be making a lot of noise, don't I? Oh, my name is Jeffrey Lincoln. Yes, I taught for 25 plus years at U of T. Oh, I've been retired for a few years now, though. Still, those were wonderful years. I have great memories of those wonderful years. Well, listen, so nice to meet you, Bev. You have a great evening. Cheers.
Perfect. Okay, so there's our first our fine cut one, and what we did here is we have we worked on the continuity last week, so we're making sure that as let's go back here, different positioning and movements that they make sense, hands on hips, coming off hips, things like that. Standing up, I think we did this too. So as he stands up. So I'm just using the arrow keys, the cursors left, right on the keyboard, so I can just advance frame by frame. And we wanted to see how the hand just comes up, so we did all that kind of work. Then we just played with our
for a few years now.
Reaction shots, ignoring him, giving him kind of a
Still
weird look. So we've been, really finding everything that we want in our takes and different options in terms of the edit. So we did split edits. We looked at the trim tools, matching action, adding those different reactions from the characters, different emotional looks and things like that. Now we want to look at tempo and pace and how things are. So what we can do is we can expand things, we can contract things. So what I'm going to do is we're going to first do one where we look at expanding it. And this is an exercise, and I think it's a great exercise as editors to try out. Like how much can you expand moments? And then there's going to be a point where the moments can be uncomfortable. And then we're going to do the opposite. We're going to look at contracting those moments and making it too fast. And I think that's the fun part, is that we can really play with different aspects in terms of how to do that. So right now, so what we've done so far, best takes for performance in camera, and we're happy with where everything's going. Best sound for post-production, can we use different parts of different takes if we need to? And, in the beginning, you can hear some of the crowd sounds in there and stuff, but that's something we'll deal with in post-sound. So we don't have to worry about that in the picture editing. As long as we're happy with the dialogue spoken and, making sure that that works for us, then we're good. Matching action and continuity. So as the character stands up, he hits the keyboard, all those kinds of things. Matching action, making sure nothing's duplicated, making sure that it ultimately makes sense for us in terms of what it ends up looking like, right? So that's, I think, really important to end up making that work. So and those kinds of things, I think, the matching action, really help to ensure that things are smooth. So we always want to look for that. The invisible editing, that's been one of our objectives that we talked about really from the beginning. So then tempo and pace of overall scene works. That's what we're looking at. I think we're not too far off, and I'm pretty happy with it. But just again, for this exercise, we're going to look at expanding and contracting and just seeing what it does to our edits. So here's a little bit on tempo and pace. So, really it's the timing of, when you cut, how long you hold on reactions, actions, and pauses. And the pauses are really important because if he says something, we can pause, we can extend time as much as we want to just by cutting between the two characters when they're not talking. So we can extend it, as long as we want to, essentially, almost. And those pauses can really help change the tempo and pace. So it can be, it's kind of uncomfortable. It could be a shorter pause that makes it more comfortable. So, that's how we can guide the viewer and the audience in terms of expectations, working against expectations. Maybe if it's really awkward and the character asks for something like, can you please help me? And the other character stares at him for an uncomfortable period of time and then says no. That's a really interesting way to play with tempo and pace. So characters can pause between lines, and that means it doesn't even have to be recorded or filmed that way. You can be adding these pauses after. Or you can have characters cutting one another off, and we can play with that too, where we just, have them cut each other off. And that changes the tempo again. So we can be adding what I'd like to say is, kind of artificial editing pauses, or we can be taking them away and having people cut one another off. Now, during the actual filming of the scene, it might have been done that way. Could have been directed that way where the character cuts the other character off, and that's fine. But what's great is if you have the option in editorial in the picture editing to decide when to do that versus just making those, having that kind of decision made for you ahead of time. So this is the fun part of editing where we can add pauses, we can take pauses away as well. And that's the fun thing of editing. Then we can add music, and it can become a guide. It could be a way to achieve tempo. So you can be cutting to, the beat, and that can help with flow as well. Some people like doing that. Some scenes are really specifically cut to a certain type of tempo, a certain type of music, and then you can take that music out. So it can really be like a guide or a click track. Just like you'd have a music to, help you go through with the tempo and maintain that tempo. Then you can change it. Just going back to the music analogy, you can change it. You can make things faster at certain parts and make things slower at other parts. And that's something that I think we'll look at as we fine tune this. Okay, so let's get back to our sequence here. So I'm just gonna go back to Resolve. I'll have that open up here, and let's have a look at it. So what I'm gonna do now is let's make a duplicate timeline here, and I'm just gonna call this Fine Cut 3, and I'm going to call it slower pace. So we'll just look at, what can we do with changing the pace and things, and how can we expand things in moments. So one thing too is, even in the beginning when he's typing, we could keep extending that so that he can keep typing on and on and on, for example. So we could say, we'll use our the trim tool that we can advance things. So what if he's typing for a really long time? So we can continue And same with this shot. Maybe we can. So maybe that's, we extend that so that he takes a lot longer to type. And that could be effective because, then, there's a little bit of duplication in terms of the typing, but I'm just going to hit the option just to extend a little bit more of our typing here. So, just simply by doing that, I think that's already a nicer scene where he's typing. And definitely pretty interesting. Just going to roll that forward a bit so that. And that's kind of fun. So we've, you can see we've extended that. We've added about 4 seconds in that, and that's working a lot nicer. So that's a good, a good pace moment there. Now let's look at.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Barb. I notice you're having a little bit of trouble with your computer. Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to help.
Yes, well, as you can see, I'm struggling a little bit.
So what if we, let's just for demonstration purposes, what if we, had him pause a bit before he responds?
You're having a little bit of trouble with your computer. Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to help.
Yes, well,
Okay, and let's see if we can even make that longer.
yes, well, as you can.
And maybe we'll take a little bit of her reaction away.
Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to help.
Yes, well, as you can see, I'm.
So you can see that's making it different and, definitely
A
a
lot of
little bit
noise,
awkward.
don't I? Oh, my name is Jeffrey Lincoln. Yes, I taught for 25 plus years at U of T.
Okay, and then same thing here. Let's try to just, hold on her at the computer for a bit. So I'm just kind of highlighting the rest of it here.
Yes, I taught for 25 plus years at U of T. Oh, I've been retired for a few years now, though. Still, those were wonderful years.
And same thing here. Let's see if we can add a little bit more. Oops. So I'm just going to click on the one side here, and I'm just using the period just to add some more. And that way we can just kind of increase the moments. And I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here. So I'm just doing that on the inspector side here. And the reason I'm going to zoom in is because her head's going to show up. So you can see it just starts to show up here. So by zooming in, we get rid of her head for continuity.
Still, those were wonderful years. Oh, I've been retired for a few years now, though. Still, those were wonderful years.
Well, that's kind of nice. So we're just kind of extending, like he goes back to typing.
Ah, I have great memories of those wonderful years. Ah, I have great memories of those wonderful years.
So I'm thinking here, maybe at this point, we'd probably want to see him earlier.
Ah, I have great memories.
So he's like kind of getting ready to talk again.
Ah, I have great memories of those wonderful years.
Okay, and same here. We'll probably see if we can. So I'm just extending this a little bit and just going to see if he's just typing for a bit. Maybe just up to like there.
Well, listen, so nice to meet you, Ben.
Okay, so that's kind of our expanded scene with in terms of the tempo. So let's just kind of look at that from when he sits down here, where we rewatched it a little bit. So let's just zoom in here a little bit.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Barb. I noticed you're having a little bit of trouble with your computer. Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to help.
Yes, well, as you can see, I'm struggling a little bit. Seem to be making a lot of noise, don't I? Oh, my name is Jeffrey Lincoln. Yes, I taught for 25 plus years at U of T. Oh, I've been retired for a few years now, though. Still, those were wonderful years. Ah, I have great memories of those wonderful years. Well, listen, so nice to meet you, Bev. You have a great evening. Cheers.
Great. So I think that's quite interesting. We have some really interesting new pace happening there. So we have like the whole idea of you know, he's typing for a bit longer. There's a really awkward silence where she's like, okay, if you need any help, and then he kind of looks at her for a moment. He's kind of intrigued or, you know, wondering why she wants to. He doesn't know what to say. So there's a really awkward moment there in the beginning, and that's nice pace-wise. And then we have the extended where she's trying to ignore him, just do her work. He's trying to do his work, and so I'm liking where this pace has gone. It seems it's made it into a little bit more of an awkward pace. So you can just see by adding these kinds of pauses, we can really play around with you know, the general scope and intention of the scene. Very different than the first cut that we just watched, where we ended off from last week. So you can see just by changing the tempo and pace slower, we can make these kind of awkward pauses, awkward moments. We can also make the situation a little bit more awkward because, you know, she's trying to obviously just do her own thing, and he keeps talking, and then she does her own thing for a while. And so, if anything, the comedy is kind of increased on that side of things, where this awkwardness of the conversation has definitely been reworked and seems more effective in my opinion. So I think that's pretty interesting. Okay, so now let's take the same idea, and we're gonna just do another. I'm gonna do the work from our first cut that we started with at the beginning of the session, and what I'm gonna do is call this. So we had this one. This is our slower pace.
Those were wonderful years.
Okay, and now what we're going to do is I'm just going to make this one fine cut 4, and we're going to basically make faster pace. And we're going to work with, you know, even having like cut off lines and just see like what happens if we, you know, really bring this pace up a lot faster. So it's kind of just the total opposite of what we just did before. How fast can we make things move along? So here, for example, these are those kinds of moments. She looks, and he's here. So we can move this along by, you know, getting a shot of her. For example, let's see. So we can put that reaction shot in there. So I'm just gonna put that in here. Move it along here a little bit. This is one thing I like to do too, is actually put the shots, the reaction shots above on track 2, and that way we can actually move them around. And I find that sometimes can be a little bit faster. So that's one piece of advice I like to. So this is how we can contract time. So reactions can really help us do that. So I'm just gonna have an in and out point from there. And then we're gonna do like our ripple cut. Oops, there we go. Edit, and we're gonna ripple cut. Just chop that part out. And then we'll just get them, same thing, we're gonna chop all of this part out. Just get them typing. Ripple cut that out. Sits down. Chop all that part out. So this, again, just the opposite. We're gonna go a lot faster here. And then just he's gonna just get upset right away.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Barb. I notice you're having a little bit of trouble with your computer. Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to help.
Okay, and happy to help.
Yes.
So I'm just going to ripple cut that out. And what we're going to do is just put him right on top. And we're going to have him interrupt her.
Yes.
Happy to help.
Well, as you can.
Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll
Yes.
be happy to help.
Well, as you can see, I'm.
Let me know if you need a hand. I'll
Yes.
be happy to help.
Well, as you can see, I'm struggling a little bit.
And then what's better is when we're doing these kind of cutoffs, I like to actually not do the split. So he just totally cuts her off.
Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll
Yes.
be happy to help.
Well, as you can see, I'm struggling a little bit.
Just let me know if you need a hand.
Yes.
I'll be happy to
Oops. So we'll basically move this to here. And then we'll play with her getting cut
Let
off.
me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy.
Yes. Well, as you can see, I'm struggling a little bit. Seem to be making a lot of noise, don't I? Oh, my name is Jeffrey Lincoln.
Okay, and now we're going to move those under so he keeps blabbing away.
Don't I? Oh, my name is Jeffrey Lincoln. Yes, I taught for 25 plus years at U of T. Oh, I've been retired for a few years. I have great.
I'll just have him talking again, so I'm just
Still,
squishing everything
those
together.
were wonderful years. I have great memories of those wonderful years.
I just want to select. This the picture.
Retired for a few years now, though. Still, those were wonderful years. I have great memories of those wonderful years.
Okay, I'm just going to ripple cut that part out there.
Well, listen, it's so nice to meet you, Bev. You have a great evening. Cheers.
That's it. So just a comparison. Let's just see what we're down to. 1 minute 8 seconds in the cut, and we started with 1 minute 30 seconds. So we got rid of 22 seconds. So let's have a look at this faster paced version. I'll just give this a view.
Action.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Barb. I notice you're having a little bit of trouble with your computer. Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy.
Yes, well, as you can see, I'm struggling a little bit. Seem to be making a lot of noise, don't I? Oh, my name is Jeffrey Lincoln. Yes, I taught for 25 plus years at U of T. Oh, I've been retired for a few years now, though. Still, those were wonderful years. I have great memories of those wonderful years. Well, listen, so nice to meet you, Bev. You have a great evening. Cheers.
Perfect. So you can see how different those two cuts are. So we went really fast, so 22 seconds off. The other one we made 16 seconds longer. So just an interesting way. So we went really slow, expanding things, making it really awkward. Now we're having him cut her off. She starts to look even more annoyed. He's kind of going, fast. But we change it. So we go kind of fast. It slows down a little bit as they talk and a little bit of typing. He keeps kind of blabbering away about himself. And then it comes back to kind of a fast-paced ending. So that's that really good example of how we can go faster, slower. And all I'm doing is just playing with the cuts. And I think this is really important. If you're not sure how your tempo and pace is for the scene you've worked on, it's a great exercise to try, okay, let's expand parts. And you can't necessarily expand everything, but let's expand some of the parts. Let's contract some of the things. And then you're going to find areas that you like. And then we can take those and put them into our fine cut and say, okay, this is what we like. And this is where we want to maybe make things faster, slower. And then we can kind of make a blend of everything and find the right kind of tempo and pace of what we're happy with in terms of our edit and our cut. So then if we go back to what we worked on in the first time, so fine cut 2, that's great, because then we can assess, where can we hold a little bit, where can we go for a little bit faster, and where can we work on the different tempo shifts. Because I think right now the one that's really slow overall, the expanded one, I think that works nice. I think the awkwardness works really well there between the characters. But then the faster paced one, I think there's a little bit of some interesting things in the beginning to kind of get us going. Like he's kind of frenetic and he's a bit out of control and going too fast, and he needs to slow down, and then it slows down. So we can kind of take the blend of those two elements, and that's what it all comes down to, is playing around with your tempo and pace and then seeing how it can work. So let's do one more thing, and that idea is how do we the idea then would be, is what is the right one? So I'm still pretty happy with where we got to in this one. The fine cut 2 and the reactions and that kind of tempo, I think that has a nice blend. So and I think all I would do is maybe just make a little bit of the typing a little bit slower, and then maybe play a little bit with the speed of his discussions with her, and work on that. So now what we'll do is one more thing, and we're gonna just duplicate the timeline, and we'll make this number 5, music edit. So for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute the track, and then I'm going to take just put like a song, throw that in here. I'm going to just add another track here, put the song right underneath here. And I'll have it like where it starts a bit later. So we'll just kind of look at here. And what I'm going to do now is look at really cutting right to the beats. Okay, here we go. Okay, so then you can see that right on the beat, we can maybe cut to the next shot, and we'll kind of play with this. Again, right on the beat, and I'll cut to the next shot. So I'll extend that one. And so you can see now what I'm basically doing is cutting to the tempo of the music. And again, another great just experiment. Right, so every time the beat, I'm just going right to the beat. And yeah, I'm not worried about what's being said. I'm just purely looking at this visual. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, and that's where we're gonna go to the next shot. Go to the next shot. Right, so I'm just cutting right to the beat. Okay, so let's have a look at this now. Just so this is really, I'm just beat editing. So I'm going right to the timing of the music and just cutting visually. I'm not worried about what's being spoken, but I'm just looking at total tempo based on music. So this could be a great just a pure exercise in what could the tempo of the film be, and you'll see that it's probably not that far off from that. The kind of, we haven't changed it drastically, but it's a little bit closer to that faster paced one based on the faster paced music that we're using. So let's just have a playback of that and have a look at what that's like. Cool. So you can see, it's interesting because we're letting that music kind of go, and I'm just always cutting out to different beats. And you can see that we kind of, it's that blend where we did the faster one where we kind of were going a bit faster. There's a bit of the moments where they talk a bit, and then we get back into a faster speed. So that's, those three exercises is what I recommend. Once we've fine cut it, if you're not sure, and this is really great as you're, if you're, starting out editing and you want to really understand tempo and pace, this would be the tempo and pace exercise. So I know it's a little bit, you don't necessarily have to do all of it, but soon you can start thinking about this in your head. Like, where do I want the tempo to be? And working that way so that you can have the different tempo changes, or you can just say, I want this scene to be a lot faster tempo and just, go to that tempo. So again, you can do it with expanding scenes and the dialogue expansion pauses. And that can play with awkwardness between the characters and for emotional impacts and things. You can make things faster. You can have characters cutting each other off. So again, it can make for different kinds of impact in terms of the storytelling. And then you can cut directly to music, and that can really help to help with the pace as well. So these are those kind of elements of what you can do. So that's how, you can see how different these timelines are when we, work with the music cut. So the music cut here, I'll just go over to the cuts here. So number 5, minute 24. The super fast one was 1 minute and 8 seconds. The slower 1:46. Our original was 1 minute 30 seconds. So that's kind of where we've left that. So that's tempo and pace is a really vital component, and it's something that you should be aware of throughout. I just wanted to show these exercises in terms of how can you change and manipulate that further than what we've already done in terms of split edits, reactions. We've played with that already, and this is a good kind of a test method to see, should I make things slower, should I make things faster, and what would it be like if it was set to a specific piece of music and cut that way. And that's really the interesting thing of experimenting with that, with the flow of that. Okay, so let's look at the next step. So once you've, how do you know that you've picture locked? And that's always an important question. Okay, so I've edited. So the whole thing is if we're happy with all our performances, the scene really works, and that's the main thing, is the story coming across? Does the scene work? And that's really the number one point here in your scene. Does the scene work? Does the story come across? And then, are things funny? And you can see just with pauses or taking pauses away, you can make things funny, you can make things more dramatic, you can make things more impactful just by cutting to specific people's reactions, the character reactions and things like that. You can make things playful with that kind of music tempo. So once you're happy with the scene, it works, the story works the way you want to tell the story. That's the main thing. There isn't really an answer to this is the picture lock, this story works. You have to, decide when you're happy with how you're editing a scene. And the main thing is, will the audience react to it? Will they understand it? And that's the whole thing. So we want to make sure they can understand the story is clear, and the scene is working towards advancing that story. Then you're picture locked. So what are the next steps? So we've gone through this. So we've gone rough cutting, fine cut. We did all our additional things. We worked with the split edits. We worked with the emotional impacts, pauses. We worked with changing the whole scene, because this scene was very different where she was talking a lot. We've changed it into that he's talking a lot. So we've reworked the whole scene. So this is the power of re-editing. So now once we're picture locked, this is your editing process, your picture editing is complete. Now you have to move on to post-production sound. So it goes for design, editing, and mixing. And then it also moves on to color grading, visual effects, if applicable. And, and the great thing is Resolve, you can just work in all of this. You can continue in these next steps just with the different panels. So there's a Fairlight panel for sound, there's color for color grading. Otherwise, you would take this locked picture and then the sequence, and you would send it over to the next department. And that's how it would go. So it would go over to sound, it would go over to a colorist for color grading. And that would be the picture lock. But if you're doing this as an independent film, and you're just doing this, on your own, you are maybe the post sound person and the colorist. So where would we access things? So what we would do is for sound, you can continue doing the work right in the timeline too, but you'd hit this Fairlight here, and this would give you all the sound options. And this will bring up basically like a whole mixing panel. And so the mixer's right over here. Just a couple tracks that we have in here, audio 1, audio 2. And that's it. There's faders, there's a mixer. You can do all your sound work in Fairlight. And then also, that's the same idea you would do here. You would hit color, and then you get the whole color suite for color grading. And that would be your finishing. So that you do the sound, you do the color grade, and then your whole film is done. So from picture lock, sound, color grade, and then you go to exporting. And that's it. You'd be finished with your edit. So that takes us through basically what this workshop was intended to do, to take you through some more of these advanced techniques and concepts, and make that whole idea work. So if you have any questions, you can always email me. It's tom@tbmcs.ca. So feel free to, I'll just put my email up here too. So tom@tbmcs.ca is the email. Let me just center that over here, and I'll present it to you guys. Yeah, so definitely please just send me an email. And if you want to show what you've worked on, sequences, share the sequence. If you have questions, technical questions, anything, just send me an email, tom@tbmcs.ca. Happy to go over this. And in terms of the software, we have a bunch of videos on Resolve, getting started, working color grading, and that's all available through our YouTube channel. So go to our website, tbmcs.ca. You can go right to our YouTube channel and access it there. Now, coming up in August, we have some more workshops in post-production. So we're going to have a colorist, color science type thing where we're going to really look at color grading from camera to Resolve. So I encourage you, if you're interested in editing post-production, check out our upcoming workshops in August. We are going to have that, and that's going to really focus on color science, color grading, and getting into that more and more of that. So if that interests you, please join us in August. I want to again thank all our partners in making this project happen. So we have the Canada Council for the Arts, we have our library partners, Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. Again, thanks for joining us. It was a real pleasure to take you through these 4 weeks of our advanced narrative film editing workshop. You can rewatch these right here, same spot. They're all going to be archived right when we're done. You can pretty much go on and watch them again. So again, thanks for joining us, and I will see you guys in the future. And also want to note, we were working on starting our in-person workshops as well. So if you're a member of any of the library partners, you'll be able to access these workshops coming up. So we're looking for those in September. So wanted to start promoting that. Otherwise, in the meantime, please do check out the computers at the libraries. Check them out. DaVinci Resolve Studio, totally there, ready for you to use. So thanks again for joining us, and have a great day. Take care.